the neighbors right there, that one of the tenants is buying the property, and well, for some other reason their property was surveyed, which is adjoining to where I want to connect to the spring. So I'm going to figure out where those pins are up on the hill to see who I need to talk to get permission to use the spring. And here's one spring, or one corner, and then way up there is the other one. That post there marks the corner of my property, and the house is down there, and I'm at ground level, probably 20 feet above it, above the top of the roof or more. And the other little spring that I've been, well, it's the same system, but it runs right down along here. This lower portion of the system would be not very steep. You can kind of see the grade would be along that line approximately. Here's the stream as it is above my property. It is June now, so it's not got much water in it. And it goes up along there. This is an old logging road. We have clay heavy soil here, so the water comes out way up there and it kind of percolates down through the surface layer, and it pops out of the ground in a bunch of different places. Like right there, it pops out of the ground after entering further up. When I was first trying to figure out where this water came from, I thought this was the source. But I was also, observing around and seeing that other ditch there. I kept going up and up and up. This is a good representation of how steep it is. This is about the steepest portion all the way to the top. And I'm only about maybe a little better than halfway. Well, I'm probably better in the shape for going down hills than going up hills. And there are logging roads that sort of crisscross, but this logging road, which comes along there, and this is about the end of it, because that's where it's too wet because of the creek water. So they just stopped the logging roads here. Now a little further up there I can catch one that runs diagonal all the way up to the spring. But I'm gonna walk down this logging road to pick that up that way. And here's the logging road that runs up to it. You can see how steep it is, and this goes at a 45-degree angle with respect to the hill. I don't know how steep this is, pretty steep. I can almost see it. I have to be careful about breathing through my mouth. Too many bugs. So, reminder, the house is straight down there. You can't see it because of all the foliage. That's how steep it is. It's steep enough that you basically take it one step at a time. I know it doesn't look that steep here, but trust me, it's pretty steep. I'll see if I can put up or calculate some sort of slope based on the rise and run. And then up there, where it gets bright through the woods, that's where the spring is. And this logging road goes up there, and there's power lines that run there. Okay, here we are. That's the pipe you may have seen in a previous video. I'll put it up here. This is another pipe that I was able to track down all the way to the bottom, but another 2 lots that way from our house. Let's see how much it's flowing. So there's my hand for reference. Come on, focus. There's my hand for reference. It's a nice little flow right now. I'm going to see if I can clear this out so that we can, whew, it's a bit slippy, so I can clear this out and then maybe come back and take a measurement of how much water it's flowing. Ultimately it comes out, you can see some rocks there. It comes out from underneath those. And then this is a catchment pond that was built quite a long time ago. It's concrete with that piece of drain tile running through it. I'm not exactly sure what they did with it. There is some more drain tile down there. So I'm going to clear this out and then we'll go see if we can find the pin that's up here. I think it's down, right down in there somewhere, because the property line run that way. And so this would be somebody else's property, and that property there would be the neighbor's property that I mentioned in the beginning of the video. One thing is for certain, it's 80 degrees out now. You can kind of tell from my sweat, and there's a lot of bugs. But the water is like whatever the average ground temperature here is, like 55 Fahrenheit. So that's pretty cold to be sticking your arm in, rooting around for a long time. I've done this before. I know it's right about in the middle, but that was probably 2 years ago. Oh, it's cold. If I was to come back and tap this as a proper resource, I'd probably have to run another pipe into here, because the pipe that's in here is too small and it doesn't flow all the water that is available. The last time I was up here, there was a whole bunch of brush over top of this, and it was cool, so the bugs didn't want to come in here because it was so cold. But just this past spring, they trimmed all of the brush as part of right-of-way maintenance. Obviously another problem with this is that it silts in, and I'd have to do something about that. Well, it took me about 10 minutes of digging and rooting around, but I found it. So when it first burst out, that was just it draining this pool of water that was in here. So we'll see shortly what the resultant flow of just that is. It occasionally gets clogged with rocks. So now you can see how much I had to excavate out. It was probably this thick in here. So easily a foot of stuff that I dug out. And this is going to keep slumping in. I just hope it's not going to clog further in, then I won't be able to access it. So now you can see the pipe, and there's a little fitting in there that's broke off. I don't know when I'm able to, if possible, you know, the whole deal about that. I don't know if I'm going to use like this pipe in this situation, or if I'm going to try to catch the water somewhere further up there. If I go far enough up in, I might be able to get potable water. I would not consider anything that ends up in here potable. So that would be really cool. If it's not potable, you can filter it and treat it to make it potable. So let's see how much that's flowing out of the pipe. I don't know how many gallons per minute that is. I'll have to bring a bucket up here and measure. But yeah, this falling 260 feet vertically down the hill, down that way, it can make some pretty good power. I can't estimate what this would be. This would probably be maybe 100 watts, maybe a little more. But in the winter, this pipe is full and it's overflowing up there. So in the winter, there's a lot more opportunity for power. So now that I have that done, I'm gonna try to find the corner post of the neighbor's property, which is the property that I'd have to run the pipe across, I think. Let's go see. This is a little bit further down from the spring head up, right up in there. And there's a little bit of water flowing down here, obviously underneath that dam that was there. But there's another pipe here running down to another piece of property. I never did figure out where that goes. All right, I'm not finding the neighbor's pin. I'm gonna have to go onto some sort of realtor site or somehow find the coordinate for the corner. And maybe come up here with my phone set to GPS mode to find it. But I'm not seeing it. And I'll pop the map up right now, somewhere around here, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. And the spring is, this is another logging road that runs up diagonally to it. And the spring is right there behind that big tree. And this logging road goes down, oh, you guys can't see that, down most of the way. So I'm going to walk this way back. It's just a little bit, it's not as steep, but there's more like thorn bushes. So I think that's the end of this video. And there are other springs around here, like there's a spring that comes out up there somewhere. But that's the major spring that flows. I'm going to send out a letter to the owner of the spring property and the owner of what I'm calling the pipe property, to see if they're willing to let me do this. We'll see.